Hello, Andrew Hewlett here with my questions for God. And today's video is really a short follow-up on another video I did on the topic, Who Made God? And in that video, I pointed out that to ask the question, who made God, doesn't really make a lot of sense. To say who made the God who was never made, who created the God who had no creator, it's kind of a contradiction. By definition, God is a being who had no beginning, no creator. You know, Christians don't believe in a created God. So the question doesn't really make a lot of sense. And I gave the example that I sort of made up about imagining a rope that was eternally long, that went on forever and ever to eternity. And then to ask the question, but how many miles long is that? Well, it makes no sense to ask such a question because by definition, it's a contradiction. So to say who made God doesn't make a lot of sense. Again, Christians don't believe in created gods. But there is a related question. And I think I just wanted to touch on it. And it's this whole question of if God is eternal, if it's possible there's a God who had no beginning and no end and is eternal, somebody might say, well, what about the universe? Is that possible? If that's possible for God, is it possible that the universe could have no beginning and no end and is eternal? And there's all kinds of issues about whether God's outside of time and space, and I can't get into that. But I think it's a legitimate question. Is the universe eternal? And of course, if you could demonstrate that the universe was eternal, then you could say, well, you see, it doesn't need a creator because it's eternal. It doesn't need a God. Now, I would still say, I still think even if he's eternal, you'd still need a God. But anyways, I don't want to go any further down that rabbit hole. My basic answer to that question of, well, what if the universe is eternal, is to say that the best scientific evidence is that the universe is not eternal, that it had a beginning. 13.8 billion years ago, it began from a singularity and came into existence. So, and there seems to be strong scientific evidence of this as well. It's the consensus opinion among scientists. And it's based on things like the redshift of stars in the expanding universe, the cosmic background radiation, and then there's other issues around entropy as well and thermodynamics that are kind of over my head. But the main response to that follow-up question, could the universe be eternal, is to say the best scientific evidence is that the universe is not eternal, that it had a beginning 13.8 billion years ago. Now, I believe that even if you could show it was eternal, I think you'd still need God. But anyways, it's a fascinating question. My other follow-up question I would ask that occurs to me is, well, even against the best science, you could have this idea that maybe the universe is eternal. Well, there's other related questions, because in my mind, then what I think about, okay, you have this entity called the universe, and this universe is ultimate reality. So, and this ultimate reality is eternal. Eventually it gives rise to life and consciousness eventually over time, and personality. It gives rise to morality and organizes itself in such a way that it produces beauty and light and power, and has no beginning and end. Well, when you go down that list, this entity sounds a lot like God. So my counter question would be, well, okay, if you believe the universe is eternal and it gives rise to life and gives rise to light and power and life and all these things, had no beginning and no end, why not believe in God? Why is it so outlandish to believe that there's a God with all these characteristics who has personality? That fascinates me, because why not say that? Now, obviously, you need to bring in other discussions, other evidences to do with, maybe the fine tuning of the universe, maybe issues around morality, maybe looking eventually at the historicity, historical evidence surrounding the person of Jesus Christ, and archaeology. So there's all kinds of different pieces of the puzzle you'd have to bring into that. But it's a fascinating question. What this leads to too is another question in my mind, is why is it that believers and non-believers can have the same evidence, they can look at the same evidence to do with the universe and all kinds of different areas and come up with exact opposite opinions. That fascinates me, how they can look at the same evidence but come to completely different conclusions. And is it that Christians want to believe in God, or is it atheists definitely do not want to believe in God? I mean, it fascinates me. Why is it that we can look at the same evidence but come up with radically different conclusions? So I'm hoping to explore that in another video. Anyways, I promised that I'd close each video with a bit of a joke. And again, these have been floating around there for a while, so you may have heard them, but these are bulletin bloopers from church bulletins. And I think they're actually are real. They appeared in church bulletins. Here's one. This afternoon, there will be a meeting in the south and north ends of the church. Children will be baptized at both ends. Here's one. This being Easter Sunday, we will ask Mrs. Lewis to come forward and lay an egg on the altar. And this one's the best to conclude with. At the evening service tonight, the sermon topic will be, what is hell? Come early and listen to our choir. Love that one. Anyways, thank you for tuning in, and stay tuned for more videos on my questions for God. Thank you, and God bless.